Donald Trump has famously said many times that he doesn't like losers. And the same goes for his party, with several Republicans and conservative pundits blaming Trump for the red wave that never was.
The Republican Party needs to do a really deep introspection look in the mirror right now, because this is an absolute disaster.
Almost every one of these Trump-endorsed candidates that you see in competitive states have lost, and it's a huge loss for Trump.
Definitely not a Republican wave, that's for darn sure. I was in charge of Guam, so I want to take credit for that.
Rupert Murdoch, whose outlets fed Trump's lies to the base for years, has also turned his back on Trump. Check out these headlines from the Murdoch-owned Wall Street Journal and New York Post. Trump is like the Republican Party's biggest loser. Trump sabotaged the Republican midterms. The tabloid even depicted its fallen leader as Humpty Dumpty, alongside the rhyme, Don, who couldn't build a wall, had a great fall. Can all of Trump's men put the party back together again? Not super clever. The Post is offering a solution to its own question in a separate cover. Ron DeFuture has been anointed as the party's new boss, or should I say, new god. Trump, we can imagine, is stewing over all of that and more. The New York Times is reporting that he is furious, throwing blame and quite possible ketchup at Sean Hannity and even Melania for their shoddy political advice. Anybody but blaming himself. Joining me now is Tim Miller, MSNBC political analyst and writer at large at The Bulwark. He is outside the Maricopa County election facility in Arizona. Also joining me, Robert Jones, president and founder of the Public Relations Research Institute, PRRI. Great pollster outfit. I just got, Tim Miller, my hot little hands, a statement from Donald Trump. It's 2 pages of ranty. And he's screaming about News Corp, which is Fox, Wall Street Journal, and the no longer great New York Post bring back call. Is all in for Governor Ron DeSanctimonious, an average Republican governor with great public relations, blah, blah, blah. So he's freaking out about them. He claims he saved Ron DeSantis' campaign in 2017 by sending in the FBI to stop the theft of his election against Andrew Gillum, in the race against Andrew Gillum. He goes on and on and on. He even uses the word crackhead in here. It's a lot. He's losing his mind over DeSantis being chosen by the party. What do you make of these little things? First of all of these suck-ups to Trump, like Chris Christie and Lindsey Graham, who just were literally laying at Trump's feet, getting petted, now all of a sudden saying, oh, he sucks, and his reaction.
Yeah, some of these Republicans are starting to sound like me, Joy. It's never Trumpers. The water is warm. It took them 7 years, but okay, I guess. Better late than never. But look, I think the question is, will these guys actually have the courage, the you-know-what, to take Trump head on? I'm still pretty skeptical of that. You know, we've been through all this from Access Hollywood, Charlottesville, January 6th, grumbling, and then they go back, into Donald Trump's corner. So I'm skeptical it will last. Maybe it will. I hope it will. As far as Trump himself is concerned, he doesn't like it. This guy doesn't like to be criticized, but he kind of has a point. Every once in a while he has a point. He kind of has a point about DeSantis. Yeah. DeSantis does owe Donald Trump. DeSantis did totally suck up to Trump and do that ridiculous ad with his kids building a Lego wall. So, I think that Trump in a lot of ways owns DeSantis. And the question is, will DeSantis and all these guys who have cowered time and time again actually take this moment where they're big losers and say, we got to beat this guy if we ever want to win again? I'm skeptical they will. I hope they do. We'll see.
For those who think that they're going to, let's remember that Lindsey Graham called Trump a racist and all sorts of other nasty names. Marco Rubio went after his progeny or whatever he was given by God in the nether regions and tried that kind of a joke. And Ted Cruz went crazy when Trump called his wife ugly, and all 3 of them ended up as Trump's poodles. So if you want to know where this whole thing goes, that's where it goes. It winds up exactly where those 3 men, I think Lindsey Graham once said, if we nominate Trump, we'll be destroyed and we'll deserve it. Only true thing he's ever said. Let me bring you in, Robbie, because the other thing is that the problem for Republicans is that Donald Trump is not just a former president or a politician. To his base, which is a very evangelical, white evangelical, Christian nationalist, very insecure about the future base, he is a god. He is sent by God to run America forever. And so I want to let you look at a little bit of this ad that DeSantis has created, trying to replace him as God, trying to replace Orange Jesus, I guess, with Orange Juice Jesus. Here's the ad.
And on the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a protector. So God made a fighter. God said, I need a family man. A man who would laugh and then sigh and then reply with smiling eyes.
I think I'm going to laugh and then sigh. I mean, first of all, that's blasphemy. But second of all, is there any chance that the MAGA base that worships Trump is going to suddenly go, oh, wait a minute, Jesus is DeSantis?
Yeah, it's indeed hard to know even where to begin with that ad. But I will say it is this Messiah complex. It really is. And I think, again, it comes down to the fact that they really do see the writing on the wall. It's exactly as your previous guests were saying. If you look at the youth vote, right, the upcoming next generation, even in places like Georgia, you look at the under 50, over 50 breaks in Georgia, it's astonishing, right? And so I think the writing is on the wall. The country is changing around them. And I think there's no clearer place to see this than on abortion, right? It's worth noting again, like it's only 1 in 10 Americans in a nationwide poll and in the exit polls that support a complete ban on abortion. And yet that's where the truck is headed, in the GOP. It's just 90% of Americans disagree with that statement. And yet that's where they're going. And so, but I think for this base, for the white evangelical base, their favorability of Trump is still 2-1 favorable, after impeachment, after insurrection, after, all of this stuff.
And I got to ask you, because in Georgia, you had an actual pastor, the pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church, whose name is Raphael Warnock, Reverend Raphael Warnock, running against a guy who was parking in the parking lot waiting for his former girlfriend to get an abortion, insisting that she do it so she wouldn't chicken out, and has gotten, we don't even know how many abortions, and we don't know how many kids. And the evangelical vote at least the white evangelical vote in Georgia went to guy number 2. So where does their Christianity work when it comes to somebody who's actually paying for abortions? Apparently it ain't real. Yeah,
I mean, it is fairly astonishing for a group that, less than 20 years ago called itself values voters, right? And the moral values voters, right? And if we that wasn't that long ago, right? But here we are where, there's just no defense by their own measures, right? All these candidates are failing by their own measures. And yet here they are. And I think it just goes to a real corruption of a political moral core. Right, that it's really a utilitarian, consequentialist, ends justifies the means sort of approach to politics. But that's never been, that's not a principled Christian approach to politics. I mean, that's a Machiavellian approach to politics.